Coming up on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. It's the Cubs Golden 3, the elite gloves on defense, plus who got left off that list, and the 2025 World Series. Where does it actually rank as the offseason begins? CHGO Cubs, Monday edition, next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast, driven by Toyota. Let's go places. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopoulos back for another week, and Sean Anderson running the ones and twos for us on the board today. Baseball season's over. We've officially, for all teams, entered the offseason. What's it mean? What are some of the key dates coming up? Thursday's a big one. We'll talk about that. Plus, gold gloves handed out today. Not golden gloves. I had a producer tell me they were golden gloves once. I'm like, unless the players are punching themselves, they're just gold gloves. Gold gloves, okay? And we're going to talk about the winners for the Cubs there who didn't win. And, of course, we're handing out a report card. We are grading one of the most polarizing players, I believe, on the Chicago Cubs this season. It is report card time for Mr. Dansby Swanson of the perfect hair and solid glove. Okay, so we'll get to some of that. I got some great stats. I did a little digging today. I want to start the show with this, though, before we get into any of the important gold glove stuff. How did we get into the office today? First show since Halloween, and not any of our selfish coworkers brought in their leftover candy. Not a single soul brought in candy for everybody. Where are my Twix?
Kangaroo Court.
I don't have a mic. Sean doesn't have a mic, but he is fuming. If you could see him right now.
I guess I have to answer to this.
Does this mean that they're bad parents?
They're bad people.
Take away enough candy from their children?
Sean, it doesn't make them bad parents. It makes them bad people. Bad coworkers, bad people, bad
so
humans.
that's the question, right? Does this go all the way up to the top, or are you just looking at the peers, or you sometimes call minions, around you here in the office? Because this is in your contract, right? This is in your rider that after every Halloween, people are supposed to
Halloween leftover candy.
Supposed to fork it over.
Presented at the desk,
at my feet,
on the first show back.
You know who I'm looking at on this one? I'm looking at Braggs. Let's be honest. Big Bears Day yesterday. Big Halloween weekend. Yeah. You don't think he could have brought in a little extra?
Zawoski doing his I Am Fat podcast on the side. Come on, Jay.
Let's be honest.
Where's
here.
the extra candy?
We all know what's going on. Bulls are 5-0. Maybe they had a good time this weekend.
Peck.
Yeah. 100%.
Got the bad back. He thinks like a Twix and a Reese's will help fix it. Anyways, very disappointing. Very disappointing.
I mean, at least the Bulls guys don't have kids.
That's true. That's true. I love how Sean's just going to scream everything from loud noises.
So if you get any great Zips projections coming from a man screaming, it's not someone from across the street. It's our wonderful producer, Sean Anderson, on the ones and twos today.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Anytime Sean wants to say something, I'll get up and take the mic over to him. I'll just go around the corner because we are a first-class organization. It is time for our Taking the Temp segment. Your trusted local experts, Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. The Cubs had more Gold Glove finalists than any team, I believe, correct?
Correct.
Maybe the Blue Jays had as many in the American League. In the National League, I know the Cubs had the most.
Not as many winners, though.
They had 6 nominees. The Cubs ended up with 3 Gold Glove winners this year. Where do you want to start? Nico Hoerner, Pete Crow-Armstrong, or Ian Happ? I say Happ.
Yeah, let's start with Happ because he's the returning champion, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest one there. And, I mean, it's one of those situations where I understand that we want to criticize Ian Happ for sometimes the offensive ceiling that he fails to reach on a consistent basis because he's always consistently putting up the numbers that he does on a year in and year out basis. But it's also a great time to reflect and appreciate what Ian Happ has brought to the Chicago Cubs over the last handful of years, and that is mostly Gold Gloves. And the grass isn't always greener.
This is 4 in a row?
Yeah, and I understand. And he's got a dynasty of Golden Gloves going on right now, if you want to call him
like
golden.
Like Thanos, he's just one
away to complete the set. But when it comes to Ian Happ, the grass isn't always greener. I understand that left field may be, of all the positions in baseball, maybe the one that is the easiest, the most accessible, I guess, for those that maybe are defensively challenged to go out there and play on a daily basis. But he still remains one of the best at that position at his sport. And we just finished last week talking about Matt Shaw, and we got a lot of comments in the chat, and I saw some comments on YouTube as well about us maybe overly criticizing Matt Shaw for what he did offensively because he was so great with the glove defensively. And I feel like that there's a bit of a double standard with Cubs fans sometimes, that if you want to have that conversation and believe that, if you want to have that take that we need to cut Matt Shaw some slack because he's so great defensively and you want to believe in his offense moving forward, I think you also have to provide that same courtesy to Ian Happ for a guy who, year in and year out, is a Gold Glove defensive player, a guy that consistently leads the league in throwing guys out at home or throwing guys out on the bases, and just goes out there and does that yeoman's-like effort every single year out there. And congratulations to him. It's cool to see.
There were a couple of years ago, the Cubs made it pretty clear, and this was after the Golden Era, that their rebuilding would focus on defensive, not just defense, pitching and defense, both, right? Like I shouldn't separate the two of them. They're together, pitching and defense.
Pitch it and catch it, yeah.
And also for catchers, that means calling a good game, pitch framing, all of those things. So more important than you know what, they've done it. They have a great defensive team. That part of it they have done correctly. When you have 6 guys up for a Gold Glove, and while, yes, sometimes, as Brendan will say, some of it's BS because a guy doesn't use the Rawlings Gold Glove, that maybe he doesn't get as many votes. And yes, Ian Happ is not like the best defensive player in baseball, but he's one of the best in left field, which is where teams put guys who aren't necessarily great outfielders defensively. But he's the best of that group, and he's been that way, voted that way for 4 straight years. And when we give Ian Happ his letter grade on our report cards this year, we're going to have to remember that. That's 4 straight years he won a Gold Glove. Does that mean I think Ian Happ is a flawless player? No. But he is a Gold Glove outfielder, and the Cubs have put a value into that defense when they build their roster. Right or wrong, they've decided that's very important to them. So there you go. Ian Happ, congratulations, 4 Gold Gloves. Who knows? This might be his final year in a Cubs uniform coming up. So he could get that 5th infinity stone.
One for the thumb, huh?
One for the thumb on his. Yeah, and this is his final season coming up. He could get one for the thumb.
Yeah, and I don't want to. We're not going to step on the Ian Happ report card right now.
No,
but again, there is something so ho-hum about Ian Happ that I do feel like it's fair to say that Cubs fans maybe take him a little for granted sometimes. And the fact that he comes in and year out, has won 4 straight Gold Gloves with those 20-plus home runs, I think it's something to applaud. The only question is, and I think Cubs fans want to feel this too, is there ever that one year where Ian Happ, when we talk about exceeding projections, is there ever that one year where Ian Happ just doesn't do the Ian Happ thing of hitting 240-ish with 22, 23, 24 home runs? Does he ever have the 260, 30 home run season in him? I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. He's been around a long time. But if you want to talk about constructing a lineup, stuff that you can bank on, what do you think is dependable? I'm not saying that this is an elite level of production, but the dependability factor, it should help maybe the Cubs sleep a little bit better at night, knowing that you can always plug Ian Happ into left field, give you that Gold Glove defense, and provide a little bit with that bat.
Pete Crow-Armstrong in center field winning the Gold Glove is a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of people would argue he's the best defensive player in all of baseball. He gets the Gold Glove that he deserves, and this will be one of just many in his career. Don't you believe that? I mean, I don't know what he'll end up with, but it'll be a lot.
Is it fair, when I saw that he won this, is it fair to say that it is now his to lose for at least the next 3 or 4 years?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
A player's going to have to go out there and take it away from Pete Crow-Armstrong, because there was on multiple hands, right? You'd have to find maybe an octopus, right, to find how many amazing plays he had this year. But, Luke, there were a couple plays, too, that I felt like his youth showed up a little bit. There were some drop fly balls.
Of course it does.
There were some misreads.
Yes.
Like, there's more, and it's crazy to say this, but there is more potential to be extracted from Pete Crow-Armstrong defensively than what we saw this year. And that's an exciting, incredible thing to be if you're a Chicago Cubs fan. And I'm just saying, I think one of many coming. I think one of many. I think when we talk about the 4 in a row for Ian Happ, Pete Crow-Armstrong might be building a streak for himself.
All the Brewers fans are laughing because he jumped at the wall for a home run that was long gone. Well, I'm just telling you, he's going to be there for a long time.
Belief.
Pulling more back than he will be watching them go over his head. My old buddy, former teammate, the cruncher, as I like to call him, the stats cruncher, Chris Kampka said 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and a gold glove. 15 players have done it in baseball history. 15 players.
Yeah.
PCA's on the list now, and he's the most recent. The next most recent was Bobby Witt the year before in 2024. Mookie Betts, then you have to go back to 2018. But the other names in this list, so you're taking out, like, you got players that did the 30-30, but 30-30 and a gold glove, Barry Bonds did it 4 times. Okay? That's not all steroids. I'm telling you, that's not all steroids.
He did that in the 90s. That was early 90s. That was pre-97.
4 times Barry Bonds.
I'm trying to find it. I did this exercise too, yeah.
These are just other names in there, okay? Willie Mays was the first to do it in 57. Dale Murphy was a great center fielder and catcher. Larry Walker, Eric Davis, J-Rawl. Like, it's pretty good company. Just put him with Mookie Betts and put him with Bobby Witt, it's pretty good company. But when you go to somebody like Barry Bonds and you say, Bonds did it 4 times, now the question will become, is this the only time that PCA does that, 2025, or are there multiple? Is he going to be a multiple-year guy like Barry Bonds that will give you 30-30 and a gold glove? Will he ever reach 30-30 again? I don't know, but the gold glove thing is a lock.
The gold glove thing is a lock. I think the 30 bases is definitely a lock. Whether he gets those 30 home runs again, that's the question, right, moving forward.
It's not that unrealistic, and then he'll become the only other player in baseball history.
And look, I throw a couple more names out there because that Chris Kampka thing, we were doing that in the middle of the season. My stat was a guy that would have 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, a gold glove, and have a WAR over 8. Pete Crow-Armstrong fell just short of that, but he was on pace for that at one point this season. Guys like Jacoby Ellsbury in 2011, he definitely did it. Mookie Betts, as you said, Bonds did it. But you know who never did it? Ken Griffey Jr. never got to the stolen bases. Andrew Jones never got to the stolen bases.
Stopped valuing stolen bases for a while.
Carlos Beltran, even in that incredible season, didn't quite have the stolen bases. So it's an incredible thing to do it on the bases, do it with the bat, and then also do it with the glove too as well. And look, I know it's the offseason, and we're going to work our way into this, especially on these cold shows that we're doing when it's freezing outside, keeping ourselves warm, thinking about what Pete Crow-Armstrong's going to do. I can't wait to watch the player, not just next year, but over the next couple of years, and see what the maturation, what the evolution is going to look like for Pete Crow-Armstrong. Because the bat, and we've talked about this, where the power, I don't need the guy to hit 40 home runs, but I think he does have that 30 home run potential. But if he just keeps getting better and better and puts together a full season, what if he puts together a full season, Luke? Like, what does that look like? Because he didn't this year. Well, he got pretty darn close, right? But he didn't.
Look what Craig Brindle says. Luke says PCA is the next Barry Bonds. You heard it here first. I did not say that, Craig, in the live YouTube chat. I did, however.
Barry played left field too, by the way. So
I did mention his name in the same sentence. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily comparing him. Although I did, however, start to say during the season, man, sometimes the home run swing for PCA does remind me of Griffey. The way it looks. Not the results, the player, any of that stuff. And now you just mentioned.
No, yeah.
He never did the 30-30 and the gold glove.
Yeah, pitch location gets underneath the knees a little bit. Yeah. Like that swing definitely gets a little Griffey-like.
Especially on an inside pitch.
No, and to be very fair, like, look, we'll do the stats really quick just to do it between PCA and Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds in 1990, 33 home runs, 52 stolen bases, Gold Glove. 92, 34 home runs, 39 stolen bases, 42 home runs, 40 stolen bases. I mean, he did it. He was on a different plane. That's not to say Pete Crow-Armstrong can't get to it at one point, but at some point, like, I just want to see what it looks like moving forward. Sean, come on in.
I just want to say that I think the biggest issue is, like, Barry Bonds' neck was probably the size of maybe Pete's forearm, or
in 1992, though.
Yeah, a pretty big guy. I mean, that's the thing is
bigger than his forearm.
Oh wait, no one can hear you. Yeah, I don't know. Pete has a lot of swing and miss.
Let me pass this one over to you. Wait, hold on. Now you have.
They've been trying to silence me on this podcast for 4 years. Sean finally took the mic away. Yeah, I mean, he was just a great season defensively. Do I think it should be his best? No, I don't. I agree. There's room to actually grow defensively, even though I believe he's the best defensive player in baseball, most likely. That doesn't mean I don't think he's going to get better. I think he's going to get a lot better. I think he's going to start to realize that sometimes you can let your teammate catch the easy one instead of diving in front of him. Sometimes you got to go get him. So we'll see. We're still going to talk about Nico Hoerner. We're still going to talk about the guys that didn't win the Gold Glove, including Dansby Swanson's report card. But first, a word from our sponsors on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Toyota.
Hey, Cubs fans, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Hey, Chicago Bears, they're 5-3, and whether it's the Bears or any other NFL team, it's got the football early payout offer. So you're a winner. If one of those teams that you select goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners at any point in the game, so make sure you download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. They also have the 100% parlay boost, so double your winnings on parlays with Bet365's 100% parlay boost. And remember, if you head on over there right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets. All you have to do is set up an account, use code CHGO365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get up to $200 in bonus bets. So head on over there right now to Bet365 and use the code CHGO365. You must be 21 plus or older, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
All right, athletes, here's a question. Are you ready to level up? Are you serious about taking your game from here to up here? You ever heard Ben Johnson screaming, good, better, best, never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best? Well, you aren't getting there alone, okay? The right coach can change everything, and now finding one is easy with Eye on the Ball. Doesn't matter if you're a kid just starting out or competing at the top level, you can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. Now create your profile, search through the coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that is right for you. From soccer to swimming, baseball to basketball, you name it, the coaches are there. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. The next level could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach, take your game to the next level so your good is better and your better is the best. Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, we're talking about the Gold Glove winners. PCA, the first of many. We've got Ian Happ, his fourth straight in left field. And then let's not forget Nico Hoerner. And I'll be honest with you, for me, 4 in a row is impressive. The way PCA plays defense, impressive. I think the most impressive out of the 3 is actually Nico Hoerner because of Nico Hoerner's offseason. The guy went through elbow surgery. He didn't start the season with the team.
Yeah, I was going to say he didn't go to Japan.
He didn't go to Japan. He admitted that the elbow pain was still a thing through a lot of this season, and the guy won a Gold Glove. Clearly his best defensive season. I would say just his best season overall. So when we get to that report card, you know there's going to be some thumbs up for, I think one of the best second basemen in baseball, Nico Hoerner. But defensively, no question about it. So hats off to Nico for a terrific season, specifically with the glove.
Specifically with the glove, that's a great point about what he had to overcome into the offseason just to get ready to play Gold Glove caliber defense all season long for the Cubs. And, there's a part of me that I don't want this to be bittersweet because I think you're right where I don't know. I think Nico Hoerner is at the top of his game right now. And I think heading into next year, I do expect to see a lot of the same Nico Hoerner on a day-to-day basis, health provided, that he gave us this year. But when we're talking about him leading the team in WAR, when we're talking about some of the counting stats, when we talk about his chase, his race, and coming up just short of hitting 300, something that only
Let's not bring race into this show.
His pursuit, if you will.
Thank you. Thank you.
But there's only a handful of guys that hit 300. I don't know if I can confidently say that I'm banking on those counting stats to look the same next year. But I think the quality of play and what you see, and Cubs fans, we all know it, on a day-to-day basis, there was no player more consistent. There was no player that you can count on more, and especially defensively in the field. There was no player that had a better season than Nico Hoerner, which made it so there was an irony and there was a sadness when he had that error early on in that Brewers series. Because look, here's the thing.
So unlikely.
Here's the thing is I know we're applauding him and we're patting him on the back, but I'm saying this in a complimentary way, that it happened. It was awful, but honestly, we're probably never going to see that again. It was like one of those once in a blue moon shooting star moments of Nico Hoerner making a boneheaded defensive play. That's how good he's become. That's how elite he's become, that when even that happens, which every human is prone to do, we go, man, never going to see that again.
So I got a question for you. Like that doesn't factor into Gold Glove voting, right? Like, does the type of error or when the error happens impact your thought about whether or not a guy should win a Gold Glove? Like,
I don't know. Let's ask Alex Gonzalez. Alex, come on in.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously an Alex Gonzalez error counts as 50 errors in my book now, even though he was a good defensive player. So does Seiya dropping the ball a couple years ago, does that always stick in your mind and say he's a terrible defender? Now, obviously, there's a different case for that. Does the timing of that Nico error against the Brewers taint at all the defensive effort that he gave all season? For me, the answer is no. It's just bad luck. I know it should count as more, but it just, to me, it was bad luck. I don't think it was pressure or any of that stuff. I think it was bad luck. Yeah,
I chalk it more up to the things that are just the outliers that you aren't used to seeing. The running back that never fumbles fumbling. Steve Kerr missing a free throw. Right? Like, it's just the stuff that you rarely ever see. I get it. The timing is awful. But it doesn't take away from how I feel about Nico Hoerner. In regards to, like, the moment and its impact, that's an interesting conversation, and it's interesting for baseball specifically of, let's take it to the outfield, and let's say Pete Crow-Armstrong or Ian Happ. Some would say, well, if you throw a guy out at home, you're removing a run off the scoreboard. That's a more important throw. But what if you were to throw a guy out at second base to end an inning or end a game? Is that not as equally important or different as important? The variance and the nuance in baseball is what makes the conversation so fascinating. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, and the Nico era was early in the game. Yeah. And there's a lot of other factors that led to them losing.
A lot.
Yeah. So that happened. It's not a blemish for me by any chance. And Craig Brindle, for my money, Nico is the most bankable player on the team. Consistency personified. I completely agree. And then Joseph Croasdale, interesting. I love Nico, but if someone would trade a high-end young pitcher with a lot of team control, I would go for it. You ready to do that dance again, Luke, this winter?
I think the reason that his name got mentioned a lot last year was twofold. One, everybody said they've got to get a superstar, and you've got to trade away something of value to get back.
And Nico's very valuable.
Value.
Sure.
And every team would look at Nico. Even the Dodgers would look at Nico and say, man, we could fit that into our rotation, right? Like, we could fit that type of player because you don't want all of the same player, but he's elite at what he does. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to hit 40 home runs. It just means he's going to give you a little something that when the game is tight and it's in the 18th inning, you wouldn't mind Nico coming up because he'll put the ball in play. He might get on base. He might drive in that run. So that's one of the reasons I think he got mentioned. And then they had to find a superstar player, and we just didn't know I had no idea he was having this surgery. So that squashed that completely once we found out he was injured. Otherwise, I'm curious if it would have happened. I don't know. Like, what would the Astros have asked for to get Tucker back? What other trade conversations did the Cubs have last offseason if Nico is actually 100% healthy? I'm not saying they don't love him. I love him. I wouldn't trade him now because I just saw the season that he had.
Right.
But leading up to that point, you would say, yes, but is that player totally irreplaceable? No, not on a team that didn't have enough power. Right? Like,
right.
Nico wasn't as valuable to me the last couple years before that because the Cubs didn't have enough power. And you would look around and say, where can we get more power? And you would look at second base and say, that's one of the positions. Now, if you surround that player, Nico Hoerner, like you did last year, with power, and you get home runs from Suzuki, and you get them from PCA, and you get them from Tucker, now you can say, oh, he's super valuable in this setting.
Right, and that's a misnomer that I think fans get confused all the time, is sometimes when people throw names out into like trade rumors, it isn't so much about wanting to get someone off of your team.
No.
It's the fact that you have to take something that has value to bring in a different version of that value. You can't just trade garbage to another team
you can't give scrap metal and be like, give me a Mercedes.
And give me a filet mignon, 100%. So that's a part of it. And I see, Very True just posing the questions. I feel his stock is very high. Joseph, it's a great question because when you talk about this Cubs team heading into this offseason, I know that we're going to focus a lot on free agency. We're going to focus a lot on guys that we're going to go sign with money. But when we talk about trades too, if they did want to augment their roster, there are a lot of players in this lineup right now whose value may never be higher than it might be right now, which makes it such an intriguing offseason.
It's interesting.
And Becky, when you say if you trade Nico, who would play second base? And also shout out Becky, too, as well, for being very conscious and taking care of your health. But second base, Matt Shaw could play second base.
Yes.
Maybe they love James Triantos. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on with those conversations. And I'm not banging the drum to trade Nico Hoerner right now. I'm not. But when you have to think creatively about how we're going to take this 92-win team and take it to the next level. And sometimes that does involve, if you feel like as an organization you're trading from a surplus, you usually have to trade valuable pieces to get value back. It's just how it works.
The Twins don't want to trade Joe Ryan. The Pirates really don't want to trade Paul Skeens.
No.
The Tigers don't want to trade Skubal. And I have no desire to trade Nico Hoerner. But if you told me there was some crazy scenario where Bregman was signed to play third base and Shaw moved over to second base and you put Schwarber as the DH and you added Cease, would it be a better team than what they had this year? Yes, and it still might include moving Nico Hoerner. Like, I don't want him to move. I don't think they're even considering moving him. But they better at least have the creativity in their mind to think of crazy things like that.
And the thing that they also have to keep in mind is, I know we're going to talk just a little World Series at the tail end of this show today, but Andres Jimenez, the second baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays, is making $104 million. Nico Hoerner will be coming up on money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Nico Hoerner is a $100 million player right now at this moment, but the dude is in line for a raise, as a couple of other Chicago Cubs players are this offseason. So this all goes into the calculus of who you want to build and what you want the core to be. If I had my preference right now, I think when you talk about a Cubby core moving forward, I think Nico Hoerner needs to be involved in that, just solely based on not only what he brings with you with the glove, Gold Glover now, two-timer, but also what he does just with the contact and the competitive at-bats that he puts up there. He rarely gets cheated. Of all the guys that we talked this playoff series with the Padres and Brewers, throwing all that gas, I feel like Nico Hoerner was always up for the challenge. And they could hit him fifth, they could hit him sixth, and when they moved him up to the second spot in the order, him and Michael Busch, that was kind of a godsend for an offense that was really sputtering for a long time. You can't take away that he's the stabilizer, or I'll take a phrase from the CHGO Bulls from Big Dave, he's a salve, if you will. Like, he'll plug in where you might be leaking a little bit. That's where Nico Hoerner kind of comes in and stabilizes. We need more of those players, so congratulations to Nico Hoerner, and I hope he's a Cub for a long time.
Craig Brindle says trade Shaw instead of Nico. Hey, he's got high upside and tradability for other reasons.
Yes.
Very inexpensive and very young and lots of room to grow.
Lots of team control as
I'm
well.
I'm not saying that either. Again, if you're going to get creative and try and catch the Dodgers and you're not going to spend all the money, there's going to have to be ways to figure it out. I'm not encouraging trading Shaw. I'm not encouraging trading Hoerner. I'm not even suggesting it. I just don't want the Cubs to rule things out.
Will we encourage someone to be traded on the other side of this break, though? We'll see. Are you back?
I
Are you
found
in?
a mic.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, the only
Sean
thing
finally has a voice.
The only thing that I would say is the Cubs have shown a propensity to want to save that buck, and they just traded Cam Smith. They don't have a cheap third baseman. Shaw is their cheap third baseman, and if he's not the third baseman, he's their cheap second baseman, right? So you have 5 more years of control of Shaw where Nico's done after this year. It doesn't make any sense, like, to trade Shaw at the end of the year. Like, I understand, like, maybe he has more value, but, like, long-term, Shaw will have more value than whatever you're bringing in with Nico.
I wouldn't trade either of them. That's the truth. It doesn't mean they're untradeable. I just personally, at this moment, unless you tell me some wild deal, I'm not trading either of them. All right. Still ahead on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, we're going to talk about grading Dansby Swanson. We're also going to talk about the 3 guys that were finalists that didn't win Gold Gloves. Which of them is the most likely to go ahead and win one maybe next year? Let us know what you think in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, and we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Hey, Cubs fans. Toyota has 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. Right now, the RAV4 has legendary versatility. The Grand Highlander's adult-sized third row is for real, and the Tacoma's wild side just comes standard. From job sites to campsites and game nights, there's an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive Toyota to get you there in style. Find yours at Toyota.com or visit your Chicagoland Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Great time to become a CHGO diehard. What, the Bears might be a playoff team. I don't want playoffs. Become a CHGO diehard now. Get access to our exclusive written content from Adam Johns, Mr. Hogue, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to the Discord lounge where we all hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. Go to CHGO.com, allchgo.com for the latest information. We can't wait to connect with you and some of the other sickos on an even greater level. And I say that affectionately.
And you know, Luke, we're celebrating a little World Series anniversary yesterday and today. That also means winter is right around the corner, and before you know it, it'll be here. And you got to ask yourself the question, is your home up for the challenge? Got a plumbing emergency? You got to call Four Seasons. An electrical emergency? Call Four Seasons. Need a new hot water tank installed today? Call Four Seasons, because now is the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune up at Four Seasons. We guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra charges for nights, weekends, or holidays. You can save up to $4,000 right now on furnaces and comfort systems with Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric, and furnaces that start at $39 a month, or AC combos at $57 a month. So head on over right now. Your trusted your local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Toyota, we're talking about Gold Gloves handed out to 3 Cubs players this year. 3 Cubs players also were finalists that didn't win it. Matt Shaw, Matthew Boyd, Carson Kelly. So I ask you, Joey Christopoulos.
Yes.
Which of those 3 do you think might win it next year? Or was maybe the most deserving of the 3 to possibly win it this year?
There's one I want to
get robbed?
I want to go off the board on one of them, to be honest with you, where I think Michael Busch is going to be up for a Gold Glove in the next year or two. When you
More likely than any of those 3, maybe.
Maybe. Yes, maybe. I will say, to answer just the question and be true and honest with it, is I think Matthew Shaw has a great shot at it. He really came onto the scene now. The thing is, like, Brian Hayes had such a great year and, like, doubled him almost in defensive runs saved. But let's be honest, Brian Hayes with the bat, I actually have more faith in Matt Shaw with the bat moving forward in his career than Brian Hayes. So if you just kind of like do the easy math of maybe less at bats for Hayes, more at bats for Shaw next year, that creates a bigger sample size that gives Matt Shaw a shot at it. But man, he was absolutely fantastic this year. And we've talked about this before, but again, to reiterate, I thought the arm strength was a surprise to me. I was a little bit worried, especially like in that hole when you're trying to go backhand and then get it over there. I thought he did a great job. His release point is fantastic, where he can get it on the one hop if he needed to. He did such a great job of reading ground balls at third base, and it's so hard. That's why they call it the hot corner. You can get caught in between all the time. There's many, many moments where you have to either charge or just deal with the short hop all the time and pick it at that position. And, man, Matt Shaw was absolutely fantastic. And when you talk about, again, this infield that the Chicago Cubs have and what they're going to have probably in place heading into next year, it is the best in the National League. I think it could be the best in Major League Baseball, and can honestly maybe even get better if Matt Shaw gets a little bit better next year. So I think Matt Shaw is the most likely.
I would agree with that. And, there's a guy who wasn't even nominated, or a finalist, I should say, for Gold Glove, and that is Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Controversy. That is how we segue into our conversation. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, Cubs fans around the world, it is time for the highly anticipated, much awaited Dansby Swanson CHGO 2025 report card.
Sharpen your knives. Get out your pitchforks, kids, because here it comes, everybody.
I don't agree with that. I just think that it's totally divided. It's Jay Cutler. It's starting quarterback versus backup quarterback. I think he's one of the more polarizing players on the Cubs. Some fans love him. Some fans are just totally against him and his contract.
And yours and Joey's grades, I think, shows that great divide. As you could see, you both gave him a B.
Overall, we gave him a B.
Yes.
Sean, overall, we gave him a B. But how we got there was totally different, okay?
You know what's funny is I think that Jay Cutler reference is so perfect for Dansby Swanson, because when it comes to Dansby Swanson, there's a lot of elements that Cubs fans have to like kind of put in a bowl and then mix together and make sense of, right? The first one is he's making a ton of money, $27 million a year. And people that make the most money on baseball teams usually get the most criticism, get the most eyeballs, and get the highest expectations. When you also, just the concept of Jay Cutler, like big, tall, strong, great arm, right? Prototypical. What you would see from 100 feet away, you're like, that's a quarterback right there. Dansby Swanson, same thing.
Both have great hair.
Great hair. Fantastic hair, and sometimes grow great beards too as well. I'm jealous. But when you look at Dansby Swanson, you say, man, that is a shortstop. Former number 1 pick. A guy that you think should be or could be able to do anything on a baseball field that he puts his mind or his desire to. But then there are the flaws in his game that are inescapable. And a lot of those are on the offensive side of the ball and with the bat. And for a guy that has such a high intelligence defensively, I get frustrated as a Cubs fan, and I like Dansby. I get frustrated as a Cubs fan with some of the swing decisions and the way that he handles at bats at different times. And we're about to go into the numbers, but that's what's always the tug and pull with the Cubs, where you always think you should be getting more from Dansby Swanson, that it gets frustrating where you feel like you're always constantly criticizing him. But when you pull back a little bit and you really look at it, you go, man, it's still a really solid baseball player. And especially this year in the playoffs, I was really glad and thankful that Dansby Swanson was on my team.
Defensively.
Right.
So our grade, we have to divide it a couple of ways. Offense, defense, how he compares to other shortstops in baseball. What was he projected to do this season? All of those things have to factor in. And I think they do factor into my B overall, and yours as well. Joseph says B is fair. Others are, Craig Brindle saying C+. Nick says maybe a B-. I'll tell you how we got to our Bs. Let's start with that offense first, where he strikes out a lot. The biggest knock is the strikeouts. I want to compare two players that you will be shocked at the stats back and forth, okay? The first is Dansby Swanson. 24 homers, 244 batting average, 77 RBI, 144 hits, 717 OPS, 20 stolen bases, but 168 strikeouts, 47 walks, and an OPS plus of 105. That's a 4.0 F WAR player when you all put it all together with the defense. Player B is Mookie Betts. 20 home runs this year, 253 batting average, 82 RBI, 152 hits, 732 OPS, only 8 stolen bases, only 68 strikeouts compared to 168, 61 base on balls, an OPS plus of 104, and a 5.2 FWAR. Listen, Mookie Betts is a better player, but some of those numbers are shockingly similar for a guy. By the way, Mookie going back and learning to play shortstop, unbelievable season.
Now
like
Gold
Glover
too, yeah.
But 20 home runs to 24 home runs. So Dansby hit more home runs than Mookie Betts this season. Dansby's batting average was only 9 points lower. Dansby had 5 less RBI than Mookie Betts did in that lineup, right? So the OPS is similar. He had 12 more stolen bases, Dansby did. The strikeout difference is shocking. That's the place where Dansby has to make the biggest improvement. 100%. And so that's why I went and said, okay, C+ offensively for Dansby Swanson. Why? Because his WRC+ was just a little bit better than average, hitting-wise, right? He was better than average there. And
17th among shortstops, yeah.
He was 3rd in the National League for shortstops in home runs. Lindor hit 31, so he hit Lindor, the leader in the National League, had 8 more home runs than Dansby Swanson. Willie Adames had 7 more. Then comes Dansby with his 24 homers. Dansby hit more home runs this year at shortstop. Listen to these names: Bobby Witt Jr., Ellie De La Cruz, Corey Seager, Mookie Betts, Gunnar Henderson. The list goes on and on. He provides you the power you're looking for at shortstop. The question is it worth the strikeouts that come with that power in streaks, right? I can't go higher than a C+, but he is giving me the power. I wanted somebody to give me more power. He gave me the power. He almost hit 25 again.
And look, I'm going B- for offense, and we're getting some great comments here in the chat that I want to respond to in a second. But yeah, like, how do you make sense of this, right? I wrote down the same notes that you did, and we weren't talking about this before. The Ks, the strikeouts, 168, second most in his career. He had a career worst on-base percentage, under 300. He had the second fewest walks of his career when he's played over 100 games this season. And yet, most home runs ever in a Cubs uniform. Most runs scored in a Cubs uniform. Highest slugging percentage since 2022. Highest hard hit rate of his career at 47.8%. Had a BABIP of 298, which some would say is it's relatively below average. So did he get a little unlucky? But again, some of these flaws continue to pop up. And I think it was Nick Weiler right there. Look, just stop putting him in the 4-5 hole, and I'm good. Shouldn't be hitting above 6-7, and defense definitely shouldn't be hitting ahead of Nico. I completely agree with you.
None of them his fault.
No, none of him his fault. That is the manager's decision. And if you look at it, the numbers back it up. First of all, hitting into the opposite field, only 12.9%, the lowest of his career by far, by 3.5%. So he's definitely becoming more of a pull hitter as things have gone along. And if you look at 224 at-bats, hitting 5th in the lineup this year, 687 OPS. 214 at-bats, hitting either in the 7th or 8th spot combined, 927 OPS. Don't make sense, but that's just the way it is, right? When he's lower in the lineup and he can just hunt fastball a little bit more, maybe that's the player that he's becoming, and maybe not the run-producing, I'm going to put up a good at-bat kind of guy anymore. Maybe he's just out there to kind of grip it and rip it and just try and either do the one of the 3 outcomes. The third outcome of the walks, though, I think needs to improve, right? And for a veteran player who's so intelligent and smart, you tell me he can't work a couple more walks here from time to time. And it's curious, like, we're going to pull up the Zips projections on what he was forecasting heading into the year and what he did. But there's a lot of hit and miss with Dansby, and that's what makes him so hard to grade sometimes.
But the home runs are just an interesting thing. Now, I want to go back to the Mookie-Dansby comparison. You saw that some of the numbers were really close. Now, Mookie Betts, I don't think anybody with a brain would say Dansby is a better baseball player than Mookie Betts. But they both are around. Mookie's slightly older. They both make almost exactly the same AAV right now, okay? And Mookie's definitely better. But okay, you're talking about one of the elite players. You're not paying Dansby necessarily to be elite. They have a great deal in what they get in Mookie Betts. It's why the Dodgers are so great and why they won the World Series. But look at the postseason. So I say, what about value, right? They both offensively had horrible off seasons.
They did.
Or
Postseasons,
excuse me.
Octobers,
Postseasons.
yeah.
Dansby, 26 at bats, $154.
Oh, boy.
0 home runs, 1 RBI, 0 stolen bases, and a 433 OPS.
I see 15 Ks there, too, as well, and those at bats.
Mookie, 70 at bats, 229 batting average, barely better. Also 0 home runs, also 0 stolen bases, but he had 8 RBI. I'm also going to suggest he had way more opportunities for those RBI. Like, did you not see the 18? Like, there were times, I can't count how many times I saw Mookie Betts in the World Series, and I was like, Mookie, just get a hit. Why is he not getting a hit? They're going to stop walking Ohtani if Mookie Betts gets a hit. It's a small sample size, but it just goes to show you that no matter how great you have a player, one series, they can, or one postseason, they don't necessarily all have translation, good season, great postseason. They're very similar players this year. Now, where I can say this about Dansby Swanson, when I grade him defensively and I give him an A-, the guy single-handedly basically won them a playoff series. The other manager said, well, we just couldn't get the ball past Dansby Swanson, and we lost. In a short series, his defense, you can tell me he's not elite. In that series, his defense was beyond elite.
And that's what's so weird is like, the other similarity that I will say, and I think maybe this is where it ends between Mookie Betts and Dansby Swanson, is that the Dodgers, out of respect to Mookie Betts, wouldn't move him further down the lineup past cleanup. And
when he was struggling.
And we saw early on in the year that this is Dansby Swanson. We should hit him 5th in the lineup when he has never, ever been that guy. When he signed that huge deal coming over from the Braves to the Cubs on that World Series team, he was a 7 or 8 hitter.
Yeah.
He was never supposed to be a 3, 4, 5 guy. Even if, Sean, you want to pull up these Zips first reality really quick, and we're going and we're hemming and hawing about Dansby Swanson. If you look at the Zips, he pretty much delivered what they expected him to deliver, more or less. Well, the on-base percentage continues to plummet as the years go on. I think that is by far the most concerning because the power isn't necessarily going to get better for him as he gets older. But if you look at it, it's pretty in line. It's not that far off.
What is F4 ended up at?
3.3. So one under.
Below.
So here's the thing that I've just seen going through the Zips, pulling it up. The strikeout and walk thing is definitely an issue. However, his current K rate and walk rate is similar to where he was near the end of Atlanta, where he put up a 6.6 WAR season, hitting 25 homers.
Yeah.
He played 159 games. I think what he shows you is he gives you a very, very solid floor. Even with that 3.3 number, if you times that by 8, it's what, 24 point something? It's around the $26 million he makes. Like, the contract isn't a bad number at all. I just think that the thing that, like, you need to wonder is that defense actually elite? I understand great in the postseason, but that seems to be the real thing that brings him down because the Zips aren't too far off from what the number was. I understand 105 to 99, but you're still around an average hitter at the shortstop position with that number. But you look at defensive run saves, 2022, 9, 2023, 17, 2024, 7, 2025, 7. However, outs above average tells a different story. 2022, 20, 2023, 20, 2024, 17, 2025, 2, and then fielding run value, 18, 16, 12, 3. So I do wonder if that elite defense might be slipping, and that's why you're not seeing that WAR number, because his offense is honestly pretty much where it should be.
Doesn't change. Right.
I mean, you could want him to strike out less, but like if he moved down in the lineup,
I felt like
you could deal with a shortstop like that.
He had more splash plays this year, but yeah, he had 11 errors, which is a little bit up for him normally. I felt like he was really good defensively, but the grades don't necessarily paint the same picture from the Dansby of 2 years ago.
Couple questions then. All right, would you?
I got two big questions.
Do you think if we've been talking about, this guy's tradable, this guy's not tradable, and I'm not saying with that contract. Well, first of all, Dansby would absolutely be tradable with that contract at this point if you decided to make that move. Would you be happier with Nico at short? Would he be better defensively? I don't know. Like I don't know. Like we keep seeing Nico get better defensively, but you're gonna also change him back to a shortstop full time again. What if Nico was at shortstop, Matt Shaw was at second, and Bregman was at third? Would that be a better team? I don't know the answer.
It'd be a better offensive infield. I think we could just say that right now on November 3rd.
But the clear question is this. Would you prefer Dansby hit 5 less homers, knocking him below Mookie Betts, but raise up and eliminate those strikeouts from 168 to can you get to 100, man? Can you get to 100? Are you willing to give up 10 home runs for less swing and miss? The answer is it depends on the makeup of your team. If he's batting at the bottom of the lineup and he's like your 7 or 8 hitter and he's popping 24 home runs, I can live with some of those strikeouts and that defense. It depends what else the team is built on. If you've got enough slug, then yeah, I don't need 24 home runs out of that guy, and I can take the solid defense. But we don't know what the makeup of the team is going to be. And
for the type of player and the caliber of veteran that he is, and it's definitely probably one of the leaders in that clubhouse, 204 slash line, 272, 362, 634 OPS with runners in scoring position. I'm sorry, it just has to be better. But there's a way to put together a better at bat when you need to execute or drive in runs, or at least start a rally and get on base. Like it can't be like all or nothing with him. He's not like Matt Stairs.
I want him to adjust his approach when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
I hear you guys, and Joe is saying something similar in the chat. A solidly inconsistent floor, just like Happ. I'll get to the Happ comment in a second. But also he's saying, yes, trade 4 to 6 home runs for more contact. But we saw throughout that Dodgers-Blue Jays series that the reason the Dodgers won was because they hit more home runs than the Blue Jays.
Yes.
Simple than that.
Baseball now.
Do you know it's really tough to string hit after hit after hit together? Right. Where the Brewers are pulling their devil magic, scoring 10 in the first 3 innings, all on singles, that's like something that's like, okay, that's the outlier and typically not going to happen.
And also hasn't led to winning anything other than the division.
Swanson give you at those positions is a fairly consistent level of pop. Ian Happ this year hit 116 weighted runs created plus. His career, 116 weighted runs created plus. He was Ian Happ. He won another Gold Glove, and he was the same damn hitter he's always been. Like, the Cubs don't have any flashy players right now. They have all solid, consistent players. I think that's the real issue is that you don't have a star on this team. Maybe it's PCA.
That's why, the influx
Tucker's gone.
That's why I said you had to have Tucker. And hold on one second. If you lose Tucker and you don't bring in somebody like Schwarber and you lose guaranteed production for power, then Dansby's got to hit 24, 25 home runs or you're not going to have enough pop again.
Right. And to add on to what we're talking about, and I know we're going back and forth, but that's the nature of the conversation that you have with Dansby Swanson. To add to what you're saying, Sean, when you pull up hard hit rate, when barrel rate against high velocity this year, it was Michael Busch and Dansby Swanson that had some of the most success on this team, more than Kyle Tucker. And I get probably a lot of that had to do with Kyle Tucker being injured. But when you're talking about where the game is going a little bit and what Dansby was able to do this year against velocity and barrel rate, he actually was one of our better hitters in the lineup. Can he improve upon that? I don't know, but that was one of the success stories of his season offensively.
Also, just like batting average-wise, Dansby Swanson's been the same damn hitter every single year with the Cubs. Yes. 244, 242, 242. Like, I think the real thing you see there is the on-base percentage in 2023 being 328. If he could get it back to that 320 number, there's probably no complaining about Dansby's offense.
Well, so here's the big one for you. This is the big question that I have. And we all know this. We're talking this through, right? And consistently inconsistent or a really great solid floor, right? Everyone on the planet knows, though, when Dansby is hot, he can carry a team for about 4 or 5 days. When Dansby is cold, he is completely unusable on offense. He's one of the more streaky hitters we have in our lineup. So my question for you, Luke, is would it benefit the Chicago Cubs and Dansby Swanson if someone got to him and just said, look, man, we love what you're doing. You're not going to play 159 games every single year anymore. I know it's a point of pride for you, and you go out there and you say to yourself, I'm going to be out there every single day for every single inning. But would it at all benefit him if they tried to maybe give him a blow every once in a while? And I'm not saying take him down to like 120, 130 games, but I'm saying once or twice a month, Dansby, you're going to get off of your feet. We're going to play Nico at short. We're going to move things around. And just because that's a part of his makeup, right, is that I play every game, Dansby, no, man, we're going to sit you down. We're going to try and keep you as fresh as possible and fresh mentally, too, because sometimes the dude probably needs a reset. He can put a 1 for 13 up with 7 Ks up like it's nobody else's business. Do they have the guts to tell their highest paid player, dude, we're going to try and get you off your feet and keep you a little bit more fresh throughout the season? That's my big question.
Okay, and how do you go about doing it? Because just letting Nico play short just increases how many days you're putting on Nico's body at shortstop, too. So what they really need is a great utility player. Now, whether you believe that player is going out and re-signing Willie Castro, or if the Dodgers want to get greedy and add Pete Alonso as their backup something, or put him into the mix for, things. Or maybe it's Gino Suarez that the Dodgers covet, and they say, oh, we could play Gino at third. We could have Gino occasionally DH. Oh, we could have Gino play a little first base.
Aren't they signing Tucker?
I'm just saying, what if they let Max Muncy go like this man suggested? And if Max Muncy, even though they only got to pick him up for $10 million, Max Muncy fills that hole perfectly for the Cubs. Oh, yeah. He allows you a lot of flexibility, and then it changes what you expect of somebody like Dansby. It allows you to be more flexible with how much you're playing him. There's a lot of questions, a lot of ways to figure it out. I just know that if you don't re-sign Tucker, you don't bring in Schwarber, PCA doesn't hit 30 home runs this year. What if Seiya's not the same guy without Tucker in the lineup, and all of a sudden the home runs start going, then you better get some home runs, swing and miss or not, out of Dansby Swanson.
And you can talk to me all you want, and I'm willing to hear you out that, your best offensive player doesn't have to be the most expensive player in your lineup. So obviously, Michael Busch and his ascension in the years to come. I hear you. Pete Crow-Armstrong, rock and roll, man. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think the Chicago Cubs are going to win the World Series if their highest paid offensive player is Dansby Swanson at $27 million.
He's not supposed to be that.
He's not supposed to be that. So, and I've seen some articles out there too of like, would the Cubs entertain trading Dansby Swanson? And maybe that's another segment for another show, because what would you get for him? Would you have to eat some of that money? What would that look like? It would certainly free up a lot of salary. Personally, I think that Dansby Swanson is a winning player. I think that you can win in October with a Dansby Swanson on your team, but you have a decision to make if you're the Chicago Cubs of whether you're going to add on and create more offense by maybe signing some more guys and not making Dansby Swanson your most expensive player, or would you push that button and try and move off of Dansby now and move some guys around and then spend that money somewhere else? I don't know how likely it is, but I thought it was interesting and intriguing that they even brought up, would the Cubs consider trying to move on from him?
All I know is the offseason has officially started.
It sure has.
Thursday's a big day. Can start signing free agents. Those option decisions coming out. Qualifying offers got to be in here in the next week. I just want to say this about it was a great baseball season, despite the fact that most of us thought this is exactly how it would turn out. And I think a podcast coming up in the future, or at least a segment, will be this. Keep in mind, this was the Dodgers' floor.
Yeah.
They didn't have a good season.
They were only won 93
They were riddled
games
by injuries. They didn't play well in the World Series. They got pushed to the limit, and special was special. Guys still stepped up. You know how they did it? Yamamoto, who they paid, was unbelievable. To do that in 3 games, unbelievable. Blake Snell, they paid a lot of money to. He was terrible for 2 starts. But you know when he was good? Game 7. Money well spent in my eyes at that point.
Was this the guy they spent $700 million? Was he any good?
He's all right. Did I win the draft? Did I win our draft still?
Yeah, you had Ohtani. Yeah.
I had Yamamoto. What are you talking about? That's a segment for another show. He won 3 games in the World Series.
Guys. We'll let Justin.
Do you remember the time where Ohtani got on 9 times in a game?
Okay. Do you remember the times, plural, when Yamamoto won Game 2, Game 6, and Game 7?
Did he ever hit? How many home runs did he hit?
He was facing plumbers.
How many home runs did he hit? How many times did Yamamoto walk?
You know what? Let's just all agree on this. Where we all screwed up on this draft, no one had Ernie Clement. That's where we all screwed up.
That's right.
I'm
fine with it.
We'll all just end up career. 30 postseason hits. Dude walked in hitting for 400 in the World Series. Walked out hitting 400
all
for the
those
postseason.
Hits, and he couldn't get the biggest hit of all. He took it to the wall, and Pages jumps over and knocks over his teammate to get it. That was an unbelievable. Like there were some great moments.
Whatever
Just
it takes.
Before we go, I want to say this.
Oh,
Let
yeah,
me
yeah.
find this guy's name. I don't like to be mean. I don't like to say things
But
that I.
he's a little sweet
No, but say
deprived
it.
right now because we didn't bring in his
Nobody
sweets.
brought in my candy.
So he's a little edgy.
Where's this Newsweek guy?
It's a little
article?
sharp.
Where did I find
Newsweek?
There was a guy that wrote an article for Newsweek, and I want to read.
Some low-rent periodical called
really
Time
was.
Magazine, if you will.
Where the heck did it go?
World Series?
We're talking about the World Series with the best game ever, okay? People have been asking, people are declaring it the best Game 7 ever. What are we talking about? Was it a better series than Cubs-Cleveland? I can get on board with that. There was an 18-inning game. You had a guy win 3 games. You had some spectacular things happen. I can get on board with that.
Series as a whole, I think,
But
is an
Game
argument.
7, what are we talking about? This guy at Newsweek said possibly the greatest game ever played. Are we saying the greatest one of the 21st century? What? Game 7, 21st century. Do you not remember the two losingest, the losers of the losers met, and it was the most epic game ever?
It was
Petty,
the
only
greatest
losers.
Game 7 of the 21st century in the second decade. I guess it'd be the
Oh, I
third.
see,
I
I
guess it'd be
see.
the third decade.
Listen,
Yeah.
I can put it right there in second place. But if you think it was better than Cleveland and the Cubs, in
170
2016,
years
what are you talking
with ties
about?
up in the 9th, and yeah.
What are you talking about? All right,
Boo.
here's what we have coming up on the show the rest of the week. Tomorrow, of course, it's Tuesday. It's time for Tuesdays with Roman.
Line them up. By height.
Justin Roman will be in here. We'll do the same thing. We'll ask him what he thought of the greatest game ever played in a Game 7. Then on Wednesday, Roman's back with Joey.
Yes.
On Thursday, Jordan Burnfield joins me for a show. And you also get Cubs related with Corey Brennan. Yeah, the offseason has officially started for everybody. Cubs, we're going to have to pony up. We're going to talk about all that and more. And the report cards continue here on the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. What did you want to trying to say something, Sean? Or are you trying to get me to wrap it up? Wrap it up, he's telling me. Okay.
Didn't need a microphone for that
That's the
one.
hook. That's the hook. Greatest Game 7 ever. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. We're back tomorrow with another live show right here at 2 o'clock. Thanks for watching. And as always, don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.